This is the value of wrestling, the revolutionary force in wrestling podcasting.
Oh, you didn't know, you better call somebody. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, on the Big Time, right here on the Big Time Rants. Another episode. We're going to break it all down right here on the Value of Wrestling. We're going to talk about CM Punk, his interview with Ariel Hawani. I probably will never get to say that name straight. Anyways, he had an hour and 50-minute interview with CM Punk, and it is definitely an interesting um, interview. I thought it was great. Of course, I'm a CM Punk fan, so I'm probably going to be one of the ones that is more supportive than a detractor, like the many people who are clamoring all over social media today. CM Punk talks about a lot of things. He talks about returning to WWE, how many people really knew about his return, how it just kind of happened out of the blue. And the belief that Seth Rollins did not know that he was returning, the very relevant aspect to that. We talked about, how he feels about being in the WWE now, how it's so much different. And of course, one of the big things we got to get into is the issues between Jack Perry and CM Punk. We got into a little bit of the details there. After the Brawl Out, there was an NDA, so he really couldn't talk about anything about Brawl Out. But after the Brawl Out Fallout, Punk was done. He wanted out then. Tony Khan said he wasn't going to let him go, and kept him on, talked about this other show, and Punk's like, okay. And then Punk was pretty much, this was Punk's show. Punk was going to be in charge of the show. We talk about the Hangman situation where Hangman came out and went into business on his own on national TV, defending his friend that he thought got fired but didn't get fired. And Punk, let it go. And then afterwards talked to Hangman about it. Told Tony Khan he needs to do something about it. Tony didn't do anything about it. Then on an episode of Collision, Tony Schiavone came to see M Punk and tried to get him to help out with Jack Perry because Jack Perry wouldn't listen to people. He wanted to use a rental car and break a lead pipe against a rental car. Punk's like, this is, these people told you no, this is not a good idea. Tried to explain it to the best of his business. And then, we go to All In London, England, and Jack Perry makes a statement on pay-per-view, which we all know too well. Rio Glass, Crimea River. He walked backstage into Gorilla, where Punk was supposed to come out for his match. And then they had their confrontation. This is where Punk basically told Tony to do something about it. Or, he told Tony to do something about it. Or he decided to handle it because he needed to. And then he basically told Tony, I'm done with this place. It's a joke. I quit. And of course, then many people, Samoa Joe, Jerry Lynn, 2 parts of the match, came in, convinced him, and got Punk to go out there and do business. Then Punk was told, Jack Perry was told to leave. He was going to stay there. Then security came around and pretty much told Punk it'd be easier if he just kind of vacated on his own. So Punk went back to his hotel room. Punk talks about AEW. It's just not a real business. It's about it's not about selling tickets. It's not about drawing money. It's not about making money. It's just not. I don't know. I think having good matches, maybe, and there's nothing wrong with that. And we look at that, and that seems what AEW is about: fantasy booking, about making good matches. And I think that's what a lot of people see, and a lot of people stand by going, well, that's great, but it's not going to get over. And Punk pretty much said that that's not going to get over on this stage. Punk gave a great interview. He's tried to stay on the very narrow of comments. Once Tony Khan fired CM Punk, but Punk quit. Tony, terminated with cause. They have not talked. Tony Khan has not reached out to CM Punk. CM Punk and Tony Khan not had any conversations since then. it's very, very interesting, very telling, this whole situation with CM Punk. And it was a great interview. I mean, there was a lot of details in here. He talked about coming back to the WWE. He did run into Vince McMahon for a brief moment. Uh, he did kind of basically talking about the man situation to the best of his ability, where he could, and it's a shame. Um, he didn't get too much into details, but he made his mention. He did talk about being in the gym at WWE headquarters and running into Vince. And Vince was happy to see him and gave him a hug, and they were going to talk afterwards, but that never happened. Um, but yeah, Punk was very open and honest about things here. Um, you know, he says the differences between getting injured in both companies is night and day. He talks about being injured down there, and he had to go find his people and get taken care of. Where here now, he's got people making appointments for him, checking on him, making sure he's okay, checking to see when he's ready. And it's been much better for him. He is much happier. He can't wait to come back. Um, and Punk seemed very open and honest about all this. And I mean, yes, the internet crowd's going to go nuts. You can see it all over the IWC. Since this interviews came out, um, you know, um, you know, we're looking over internet and you're just reading all these comments. And it's just, I mean, Punk did what he said. He had a great interview. I think you take it at fixed value. Everybody wants to criticize Punk like he did something horrible or he's trying to make it up to be AEW's fault. He didn't necessarily badmouth AEW. He just said his basic opinion. It's not a real business. It's not about making money. It's not about drawing money, and AEW doesn't do that. And I think that's apparent in a lot of the things we say here on the Value Wrestling YouTube channel when we review Dynamite and all these different stories. They're not about making money. They're not about you know anything about but great matches. Tony Khan books fantasy matches. He's a fantasy booker. He throws together a bunch of fancy matches, gets everybody excited, but it's not drawing money. It's not bringing people in. It's not bringing the fan base that he needs to bring in. And yeah, AEW is going to be here for a long time. As long as Tony's got money, it'll be here. Um, Punk talked about the Hangman promo. What he said didn't matter to me. If I'm working with you and we sit and talk, one of the biggest criticisms of WWE is it's overly scripted. There are writers. Pro wrestlers don't need writers. Some people don't. Some people do. Some people prefer it. I sat down with him. We hammered it out. I was very gracious. We hammered out this promo. You say this, I'll say that. You say that, I'll say this. Great. Then he proceeded to go on live TV and not say any of the stuff we talked about. So, I mean, we can understand why Punk was very upset and why this stuff spiraled out of control. I think it was a great interview. If you're a Punk fan, you're going to love it. If you're a Punk hater, you're going to love it because you're going to go off and, run your mouth about it. But, I mean, I think Punk was very right. That this is not about making money. It's not about business. It's just about having great matches. And that's what AEW comes off. And didn't even call it a business and told Tony Khan he's not a boss. And then, set the whole world on fire. It's crazy. And the internet's been crazy with everything. And, I think it's a great interview. I think they got into things. Punk was very open. I don't think Punk was hiding anything from us. I think, yes, it is Punk's side of the story. But I barely believe Punk because Tony Khan does not wish to make any statements. Tony Khan rather hide and duck and dodge every question available to him. And so we got Punk's side of the story, and I think you have to agree with Punk. He did talk about Colt Cabana. Colt Cabana did approach him at one time to talk to make it less awkward, and Punk basically told him, I ain't talking to you without a lawyer. So, I don't know. The interesting part is this happens today, this big interview, and for the first time in AEW history, they released superstars. Not a big list, not anybody over the top, no real shocking names that got released. But AEW decided to release superstars after Tony Khan goes, I will never release superstars. I would never do that. I would never do that around a major holiday. All these things, and the day after Easter on April Fool's Day, probably the worst day to get released. AEW, Tony Khan has released Stu Grayson, Dasha Kurit, Anthony Henry, Gravity, who is a recent add to the All Elite roster, Jose the Assistant, Slim J, Parker Boudreaux, Hora Hola, I don't know, Jorado, I don't know what his name is, and then Dalton's boys have been released, or the Tate twins. They are no longer with AEW. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people released from AEW today. Why did this happen? Why did Tony Khan come out and release people after proclaiming he never released people? He just let their contracts run out. Is he trying to act like a boss? Is he trying to do something? It's very interesting that after Punk called him out for not being a boss, that Tony Khan decided to release some people. I think there's some coincidence there. I think it's a very interesting coincidence, but we'll have to wait and see. But anyways, go watch the CM Punk on the MMA Hour. Ariel Hawani. Great interview, great time. I think it was a great listen. Go listen to it. Drop your comments down below. Tell us what you think. I am the Big Tyme. This is Big Tyme Rants. Make sure you like this video. Go ahead and drop all your comments below, whether you like CM Punk, don't like CM Punk. What did you think of the interview? Let's discuss it. And as always, hit that subscribe button. Join the Value Wrestling family. We are growing. We're trying to reach that mark for 1,000. We need your support to get there. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Become a member of the Value Wrestling family. And we'll appreciate you when you do that, as we appreciate everybody who's subscribed and is part of the Value Wrestling family and comes out and watches us. So we appreciate you. We thank you for being here. I will see you next one.